Good morning again, my friends. First things first, a special shout out of gratitude for all the men in our world who have truly blazed a clear trail of kindness, love, ingenuity, courage, and strength for others to follow. I thank you, our brothers, our fathers, our sons. It is your example that gives us all hope for the generations to come. Thank you. Thank you for showing up in all your glory. God bless you, one and all. On Father's Day last year, I shared a very personal story about my own father, Robert Clark. This year, I would like to enlarge our perspective a wee bit more. Let us now pause and also give thanks today for the founding fathers of our nation, the more visible moving forces of our grand and glorious experiment in democracy. For their courage and their ingenuity, we are all forever grateful. And now, here in June, just as in May, when we took time to honor the women, the strong yet nurturing mothers of our country, those whom we try to emulate, we now honor all of the brave fathers, all those who also helped to shape our young democratic way of governing ourselves. The tradition of specifically honoring those who came before us, those who blazed new trails and revealed new perspectives for all of us. To them, we owe a debt of gratitude. Our societal acts of recognition and of public honoring are important, if not essential, for the continual and creative cultural developments of all societies, as well as the innovative, possibly life-saving advancements of the whole world. And thus, the public practice of societal recognition goes back even further than one might suppose. The ancient Greeks, for instance, going way back, enthusiastically celebrated life, life as Gaia, Mother Earth herself, as well as Uranus, Father Sky. Uncannily accurate, again, those ancient Greeks. For it seems that the material of our physical bodies essentially comes from deep within Mother Earth, Gaia. And it is she who nourishes each of us, even now. While Uranus, Father Sky, is the source of moisture and light, continuously and actively calling forth that which has been deeply hidden within the earth. Just as we, the current inhabitants of Earth, must learn to call forth all that lies deeply within each and every one of us, learning together to bring forward our own unique individual gifts into the precious light of day. Learning to make wise use of the many, many gifts bestowed upon each and every one of us, living on this, our one-of-a-kind, beautiful blue planet. All of the materials of our bodies and our lives come from the earth that nourishes us from birth to death. And moisture and light comes from the sky to energize all of the earth's residents. Nonetheless, if calling earth as mother and sky as father feels just a little too primitive, I guess, for some folks, well, in fact, it is. It is primitive in that it was far in the past. But modern scrutiny seems to actually uphold the notion of the sky as the progenitor of life on Earth. All of the material, if we think about it, all of the materials of our bodies and our lives come from the earth that nourishes us from birth to death and comes down to us from Father's sky to energize all the children of earth as mother and sky as father. Familiarity with science can actually make one more comfortable rather than less with the idea of the sky as progenitor. The more we know of chemistry and physics and astronomy, the more we can appreciate the wisdom of early humans in these parental concepts, tracing our genealogy back through our lineage we might want to look at if we want to understand all we can about our existence and the origin of the materials of which our bodies are made and continue to thrive. We could no more exist without the chemical elements in life than we could without the genes that make each of us unique human beings, right down to our fingerprints. Why do we have an abundance of oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and all the other elements composing the molecules that give life and motion to our bodies? These elements have not always existed here, my friends. Take this in. They have come down to us from the stars. It would seem that we could no more exist without the chemical elements of life than we could without the genes that make each of us unique individuals. Why do we have an abundance of oxygen, nitrogen, all the other essential elements and molecules that bring us life and motion? These elements have not always existed. They've come down to us from the stars. Yes, the stars, many billions of years ago. Life as we know it could not have existed. For the early universe had only hydrogen and traces of helium. But perfectly good stars could be made from hydrogen. Gravity pulled hydrogen atoms together into clumps, slowly collapsing under the growing powers of gravity as more and more atoms flowed into them. Finally, the temperatures at the centers of these gravitational blobs became enough that the thermonuclear fusion, bomb-like explosions began. And stars radiated energy all around them. Stars are wondrous things. They are energy factories, but they are also element factories for the same process that powers the stars. Heavier elements, including oxygen and nitrogen. Some massive stars reach states of instability, finally exploding to then scatter their chemical products into the surrounding space. Thus, the newer and heavier elements mixed in to the interstellar clouds, out of which later generations of stars would form. Again and again, this process took place. Creation of the elements inside stars mixed into the immense hydrogen clouds that continued to produce ever richer stars. And so it was that the sun was formed, and orbiting around it was a fleet of planets. Only one, blue with moisture, white with clouds, red with rocks, green with plants, and eventually gleaming at night with constellations of lights revealing human presence. This astrophysical account of how Mother Earth acquired from Father Sky such a rich collection of the elemental building blocks that made the mineral and biological kingdoms. Rocks in all their gleaming crystalline variations. Trees and other plants, manifold, intricate, wonderful patterns. Marine life, insects and birds and animals to run about, and even Homo sapiens to look around, to attempt to take it all in, to fathom it all. Someone once said that human beings, after all, are atoms' ways of knowing about atoms. Stars' way of studying about stars. And one example of the universe's way of contemplating itself. Such is the gift of Father Sky. Whether you think along with the ancient Greeks or Native American Indians or contemporary cosmologists, the notion of the Father as Sky can seem just as appropriate now as in days gone by. We each, my friends, are both God's beloved child and the dust of the stars. Let your own light shine today and every day. Namaste, my friends. Namaste. And so it is.
I came upon a child of God. He was walking along the road, and I asked him, "Where are you going?" And then he told me, "Going down to Yaska's farm. I'm going to join in a rock and roll band. I'm gonna camp out in the land. I'm gonna try and get my soul free." We are stardust, we are golden, and we got to get ourselves into the garden. And can I walk beside you? I had to come here to lose the smoke. I feel to be a cog in something turning. Well, baby, it's the time of year, or maybe it's time of man. I don't know what I'm doing, but you know life is learning. We are stardust, we are golden, and we have got to get ourselves back into the garden. By the time we got to Woodstock, we were 500,000 strong, and everywhere there was song and celebration. And I dreamed I saw the bombers riding shotgun in the sky. They were turning into butterflies above our nation. We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon. We are golden, caught up in the devil's bargain. And we got to get ourselves back to the garden. We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon. We are golden, caught up in the devil's bargain. And we got to get ourselves back to the garden.